The Wife of Sir Isaac Harman is a 1914 novel by H.G.Wells. Plot summary. The protagonist of The Wife of Sir Isaac Harman is Lady Harman, an acute Ellen Sawbridge. The moral, emotional, and intellectual conflicts that this tall, sensitive, graceful woman confronts arise in the context of a loveless marriage with Sir Isaac Harman, a self-made man who has grown rich as the proprietor of international bread and cake stores and Staminal Bread. Sir Isaac meets his future wife when she is only 17 and still a student in a boarding house in Wimbledon. She marries him largely out of pity, but the marriage is not a happy one. Despite great wealth and the birth of 4 children, Sir Isaac is inherently domineering, and in an age of suffragettes he encounters a desire for greater freedom in his wife. The plot of the novel turns on Lady Harman's relationship with George Brumley, a successful genteel novelist whose wife has died 3.5 years earlier. Lady Harman meets Mr. Brumley because the Harmans buy his house, Blackstrand, in the countryside outside London. Mr. Brumley falls in love with Lady Harman at first sight. His interest in her leads him and a number of acquaintances to pay Lady Harman a visit. This results in invitations to luncheons and committees for Lady Harman, and despite all his efforts the possessive Sir Isaac is unable to quell his wife's desire to accept. Through many twists and turns, Mr. Brumley's attachment to Lady Harman increases until, after the death of Sir Isaac, he appears to win her love on the novel's concluding page. Themes. Like Anne Veronica, The Wife of Sir Isaac Harman reflects H.G.Wells' enthusiasm for the ideal of the new woman. Lady Harman's interest in the condition of women persuades Sir Isaac to invest in the creation of 6 boarding houses for working women. She enlists the aid of the devoted Mr. Brumley, and his inquiries result in certain Wellsian convictions that she embraces. The forces of social organization have been coming into play now more and more for a century and a half, to produce new wholesale ways of doing things, new great organizations that invade the autonomous family more and more, and are perhaps destined ultimately to destroy it altogether and supersede it. Lady Harman comes to see her work with the hostels in this context and is her raison d'etre, while somewhat muted, racial anti-Semitic stereotypes permeate the novel. Sir Isaac's avidity, and his pointed nose and its visibility in his children, are frequently mentioned, and his business efficiency is linked to characteristics like those suggested in this passage about his youth. His disposition at cricket to block and to bowl sneaks and twisters underarm had raised his average rather than his reputation. He had evaded fights and dramatic situations, and protected himself on occasions of unavoidable violence by punching with his white knuckles held in a peculiar and vicious manner. He has always been a little insensitive to those graces of style, in action if now in art, which appeal so strongly to the commoner sort of English mind. He played first for safety, and that assured for utmost advantage. These tendencies became more marked with maturity. But Sir Isaac's Jewishness is never discussed. Indeed, it is never even made explicit. Instead, it is conveyed through asides and insinuations. The Wife of Sir Isaac Harman is also an extensive satire of many aspects of British society on the eve of World War I composition and reception. H.G.Wells wrote most of The Wife of Sir Isaac Harman in late 1913 and early 1914. The novel was published in October 1914. Wells claimed that the title character derived from Maud Pember Reeves and Agnes Eleanor Jacobs n.e. Acute T. Williams. Early reviews were tentative but grew more positive after Holbrook Jackson reviewed the novel favorably in TP's Weekly, but Walter Lippmann judged it a careless book written from the upper layers of Wells' mind. In 1951, biographer Vincent Brome observed that the novel was read with deeply diminished interest today. Biographers Norman and Jean Mackenzie called The Wife of Sir Isaac Harman Wells' counterpart of Ibsen's A Doll's House.